Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to our third episode or third podcast or episode number 3, whatever you want to call it. It's been long since we're here on the podcast. You'll have the same two hosts, Jude and Kevin.
Hey guys.
What's up? Sorry, I forgot to
Oh,
say hi. So we're here today after a really long time, and we just want to tell you guys or ask you guys if you're keeping safe and if you're. And I'm sure each of y'all are doing your best to be safe wherever and whichever part of the country y'all are. I know India is really impacted, especially with a lot of cases, and it's really not the best or the pleasant thing that we see. But we just want to not be the one who says, do this, do that, wash your hands. All of y'all know what to do. We just want to say thank you. Thank you for keeping safe because by you keeping safe, you keep people around you safe. So we want to say thank you. And at the same time, we also want to say we are grateful that each of you are doing your best, and because of which our families which are back home, for those who are not in the country and for those who are in the country or families at home, we want to individually thank all of you guys. And there is a reason why we didn't record a podcast for a while, and Kevin will tell you why. Kevin.
just put me on the spot.
Just put you on the spot. Like always.
Hey guys, hope everyone is doing good. Yeah, there is a reason why we didn't upload our videos on a regular basis. The basic reason being that we had our own stuff going on in our lives, and apart from that, to be brutally honest, we're just lazy.
That's the stuff going on in the life.
Yeah, we're just lazy. Yeah, I guess that's the reason, Jude. What do you say?
I think
that could be the primary reason. No?
Yeah, I don't think there's a secondary reason. I mean, we can find excuses.
Yeah.
Like we had a lot of work and stuff. I'm sure everyone who's listening to us, everyone has a lot of work. But we just couldn't fit in a schedule and a time. We had a few mishaps, or rather, even after the mishap, even after my accident, I think we recorded a video, right? Yeah. So it's not really.
The second episode was after the accident.
So yeah. So
I don't know what made us really busy, bro. Like if you look back and think, right, we were just carrying on with the normal lives, and the lockdown happened here since Easter, and after that, what happened?
I think for me, I can speak for myself. I think for me, what happened is somewhere, I think the whole part about having to record it or do, or even, upload stuff on the website or the blog. I think somewhere what happened is that kind of became a secondary thought for me. I mean, usually it would be the main thought because I just like putting out content, or we like to put out content. So we keep thinking, I know, I call Kevin in the wrong or odd hours, and he also calls me in all odd hours. We talk about stuff. The only problem with Kevin and me is we discuss about one point which you want to put on the blog, which never goes on the blog, but we talk about everything else, and that call goes on for an hour. So every time I call Kevin for something, it just keeps dragging and dragging unless Kevin's dad calls at the back, or when I have to drive and I don't get signal. That's where the call ends. Otherwise, I don't think we ever disconnected a call in a really long time. That could also be one of the reasons we can find. But to be truly honest, like what Kevin said, it is pure laziness, not trying to find time. But first of all, I know even though we're talking so much about why our third episode is not out, some of guys who are listening to us will be like, I don't think we even were waiting for your third episode. We're waiting for you guys to shut down. But yeah, I mean, for the one or two who are listening to us, so some of our family members who watch the video more than twice.
Just to increase the likes, just to increase the views.
Just to increase the views. We want to say, of course, we are always thankful, but we want to say we are back, and we want to get things going.
And Jude, we didn't completely ignore our stuff. Actually, we were planning a lot on putting something on Instagram and putting some stories. Actually, we did put a lot of stories in our Instagram, did we? Or probably a couple of posts.
No, this is just Kevin trying to show that he was not lazy.
Probably.
we, we didn't put a lot of stories. You remember how we used to make stories about the Wimpy and the burger and then put out a chicken?
Yeah.
So we kept things so engaged, and like I think one or two stories, I think somewhere it just doesn't add up, and we didn't put it. But yeah, I think we put quite a few stories. It's not that we stopped. I think we thought a lot about the blog we discussed. It's not that we just didn't talk about it, because anytime we talk about food. I think the issue was we somewhere didn't implement stuff like how a lot of people who do get lazy. We are also, of course, one of the people. We could have just come here and said, "Hey guys, you know what? The pandemic. We didn't think it's the right time for us to put out content, but we just absolutely honest, you guys. It's pure sheer laziness.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes us good friends. We're just lazy boys." Yeah. So having said that, today we are here not to talk about why we didn't do stuff, but we actually here to share about what we want to talk about. We just hear it with the whole pandemic and you guys trying to make food. I know there are so many recipes you guys would have tried. Instead of having to tell you all what to do, we are going a little towards the negative aspect of cooking, and we want to discuss about the common problems that people face when they make food, when they cook. Each of us face our own issues. Even though we love food, sometimes it's like, who's going to make food, right? So we here discuss about a few things. We have a few points. That's of course from experience and also from reading online with people, and we want to share a few points.
I'm just trying to open that file. Just give me.
While you're trying to open the file, I just want to point out, if someone's trying to figure out why there's a little glare here, it's exactly what you think. This is a tape. So what happens is when you overuse your office headphones, it can break. So when it breaks, you tape it, and when you tape it, you use transparent tape. And when you use a transparent tape and use it for a podcast also, so when there's light, it glares. So it's exactly what you guys think. It is a fix. In Hindi, they call it jugaad. Yeah, we do it all the time.
Okay, so Jude, I'll go first, or do you want to go first?
If you're ready, you can go ahead, bro.
Okay. Many people have an issue with making eggs. You can make eggs a number of ways. People like it hard boiled. People like it soft boiled. People like it, half cooked. Some like poached. It half boiled. Some like it poached. Some like it scrambled. There are many other ways, but one common problem what I see here is people complaining about the egg sticking to the pan, and also on how to cook the perfect half-boiled egg. I'll take the second thing first: how to cook the perfect half-boiled egg with a runny yolk in between. Because normally when people make eggs, while cooking the eggs, the yolk also becomes hard. So what you can do is make the pan hot.
I hate that when the yolk becomes hard.
Correct. Yeah. So that happens when the pan is too hot as well. You put you break an egg on a hot pan, and the pan is too hot. The egg cooks a lot faster, and in the meantime, the yolk also cooks equally faster. So what you can do is you can reduce the flame, or else you can pour the egg on a cold pan. On a cold pan, keep it in a lower flame, on a low flame. And once that is done, you can sprinkle some water towards the side and cover it with a lid. So what happens is the water evaporates. The water evaporates and it kind of cooks the egg from the top. Not too much though, just right, so that just the white part gets cooked and the yellow is still runny and amazing. So long story short, keep the burner at low. Pour the egg. Put some water towards the side and oil as well. It'll start to sizzle. And as the evaporation of the water starts, it cooks the egg from the top.
That's awesome. Actually, I think I've tried it once, and it leaves a little white membrane on the yellow.
Exactly. Right? Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
And then when you cut through, it kind of
correct.
Runny.
So correct. Through that, the yellow part, whatever you call it, you have some scientific names. Bullshit. I'm not here to talk about scientific names, but the yellow part of the white part, as we the yellow part of the white part, as we all know, The white part gets cooked perfectly, not too hard. It's nice and soft, and the yellow part is awesome and runny, perfect with the toast in the morning.
True.
So yeah. And coming to the first part, yeah, go ahead, Jude. Yeah.
No, sorry. You go ahead. You finish it.
Yeah, and coming to the first part, that it doesn't stick. Basically, it's common sense. You got to lubricate your pan. You know, put some oil in there, good amount of oil, and then yeah, that's simple. So in order to stop the egg from sticking to your pan, just lubricate it. People who are conscious, you could probably add some butter. Butter is good for you. So yeah, so basically lubricate with some kind of oily stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I hope that helps. And also seasoning. Seasoning, you can probably do it in the beginning itself. As soon as you crack open an egg, because some people like to season at the end. I like to season it in the beginning itself. I don't know why. I have this thought that even the seasoning gets cooked along with the egg. I have that in mind, but I don't know how it actually works. But yeah.
Oh, it fuses in with the egg, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
That's true. I think that's a good point, but I have not seasoned the egg before making. That's something, or rather, when I make an omelet, I season it when I scram or when I mix it or when I whisk the egg. I kind of put seasonings on it. But usually when I do a sunny side up or one of those, I season it after.
Mm.
But I think one point which I want to add for sticky eggs on the pan, I think there are times where I've also had the flame be really high. Sometimes, when it's really high and you're taking an egg from the fridge, which is usually cold, and even though you put oil and you crack the egg, because it's cold and the pan is super hot, it also sticks at times. So I think the
Correct.
medium to medium height temperature is good, and you put a little oil. And this I took I think 2 years to even properly fry an egg, because usually I'd either be the pan will be super cold or the pan is super hot. So somewhere around a little medium high, you put a little oil in the pan. Even if it's less oil or more oil, like how much oil you prefer, and you just crack open the egg, and you just fry an egg. That's how you fry an egg without having it to stick to the pan. But I know a
Yeah.
lot of people have different issues with frying an egg, which I understand. I think what people need to pay attention to is the stove they're using, the pan they're using, and the temperature of the pan. So we have different kinds of stove. There's coil, there's the one with coil, there's the cooktop stove, there's the fire stove. So depending on this kind of stove, you just got to experiment. But usually what happens is don't try to waste a lot of food when you experiment, because for me personally, when I try to fry an egg, if it's not good, I still eat it. So if you are not one of those guys, you may want to have to experiment with two or three eggs for you to get used to frying a good egg. I know a lot of these issues people overlook, where you fry not the perfect egg, but you're okay with it. But eventually, when you start focusing on the small things and you end up frying an amazing egg every time, you just feel good. Imagine you wake up, you fry an egg, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I
Eggs
think,
in the morning are amazing.
yeah, I
It
think
makes you
the smell
feel
of eggs
good.
is amazing. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Have you, Jude, probably baked an egg in an oven?
I think no, not really. I've
No?
tried to make what's that called? It's an egg base. It's basically, oh my god, I forgot the name. So you bake an egg with all the vegetables. It's called a frischetta. Oh my god, I forgot the name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if someone who's watching it will be like, oh guys, it's called this. Can please comment below. I actually forgot the name. So it's like omelette. You put it in a pan or a tray, and then
Mm-hmm.
instead of frying it on the pan, you bake it, so it becomes a little
I
thicker.
get
It's
it. I
like a
get
pizza.
some Italian, sorry, Spanish
Yeah,
dish. No,
exactly.
yeah, correct,
Frischetta,
correct, correct, correct.
frischetta. No, not
Something.
sorry guys. Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, so that's your only time I baked. Have you baked a solo egg, like single?
Yeah, so solo egg. So basically, what I did is you get these aluminum foils, right? I made the aluminum foil like a cone, like not like a cone, like a
Oh,
cup, like a cup. I cracked open an egg and I placed it inside, and then gave only top heat, from the oven. So it kind of cooked well. It gives you like a poached egg feeling, not exactly like a poached egg feeling, but yeah, it's kind of soft and runny. So it's nice. It's good to use it on a bread. But if you overcook it, obviously it becomes hard. Just for
That's
about
awesome.
2-3 minutes.
That's cool. I think so. That's pretty much on how you fry a good egg without having it stick to the pan.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's see what other problem we have. Okay, this is. Let's see the issue. Okay, this I've faced all the time. I know people around me who've seen me cook or see me eat what I cook have always heard me complain about it. Your food is too salty or too spicy or too bland.
Ah,
This
yeah,
I
that's a
think
good point.
it always happens. For me, it's
Definitely.
never been bland. Actually, it's been bland also. One of the best practice that I do is, especially when I'm making food for at least more than two people. If it's one person, you can even you can try to fix. But if more than two people, don't season too much because less is always more when you season.
Perfect.
When even later at the end, when it's less, you can add stuff. But when you put a lot, it's very hard to reduce stuff. You can try to mask it with lemon, but at the end of it, you can taste it. What do
Yeah.
you think,
I
Kim?
think I think you made a really good point there, Jude. Like less is always better than adding more and screwing up the entire dish. So yeah, so before you probably season something, add little of everything, and then taste and see. There's nothing wrong in tasting, right?
Yeah,
Taste and see. If it's less salt, you can always add more. But if it's too much, then it's a problem. As you said, you can probably add some lemon juice or something like that. But that's not going to entirely fix the problem. But yeah, it's a good point that you made that add a little less seasoning and taste it before you do anything more to it. And also coming
yeah.
to too bland, obviously that too bland meaning you got to season more, so you better season more when it's too bland. And when it's too spicy, what my mom does is she adds potato, apparently potato or even tomatoes. So they apparently they imbibe all the spiciness. Is actually it works. So for example, take chicken curry for that matter. When the chicken curry is too spicy, then she probably cuts 2-3 potatoes and puts it in there, or 2-3 tomatoes and puts it in there, which kind of reduces or cuts the spice. So that's one thing I learned, to probably kill the spice. But you can't implement that on all the dishes. Like for example, omelet. If you kind
Hmm.
of put too much of green chili in an omelet, you can't put potatoes, and
True.
it varies from dish to dish. You can't use that this particular technique for all the dishes.
That's right.
So yeah, yeah. So long story short, as you said, um, add everything little bit, little by little, especially when you're beginner at cooking. Taste it. If there's too much of salt, if it's too spicy, if it's too bland, you can always add more. But once you've added that extra, it's kind of hard to um, come to a balance again. So yeah, just make sure you add the right stuff and at the right quantities.
That's true. I think too spicy. I think I've run into all the issues.
Yeah,
Too spicy, I'm sometimes
every
happy.
everyone who cooks I think this is the most common problem people find: too spicy, too salty,
Too
or
bland. Yeah, that's
too
true.
bitter or something. And also one more thing, when you kind of fry the masalas too much, no, too much, when you fry the chili powder or garam masala or anything too much, it starts giving a bitter flavor. So that's why you should
Hmm.
never fry the masalas too hard. Like for example, in the beginning you add onions and ginger garlic paste and stuff like that, right? And then you add the masalas one by one. So you shouldn't
Yeah,
cook the masalas too much. When you cook the masalas too much, what it does, it kind of gives a bitter flavor. And to kill that is practically impossible. The only way to probably neutralize that is by adding a little more sugar. So probably we can add one more point in there, to if the dish is too bitter, don't fry the
actually.
masalas too much. You can add a little bit of sugar to kind of bring it to a balance. But again, don't add too much.
Yeah, I think the best is to start with less, and
Correct.
if it's less later, you can add.
You can always add more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. And then I'm just trying to think about the mistakes which I've made. But yeah, it's always salt more. Sometimes what happens is when I used to cook and I used to go to work and I cook everything and I'm excited for lunch, right? Because obviously, what else are you excited at work? Lunchtime.
Yeah.
You're excited to eat your own food, and then you open and you taste it. There's no salt. You're like, oh my god, I forgot salt. Just it happens so many times. But and I don't carry like salt, and there's no real salt at work that you can add. But I still
Correct.
eat it. Like there's no salt is okay. I still eat it. But yeah, at times is it's just not okay. So yeah, I think
Correct.
that's one of the ways now you can solve the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another point over here what we kind of discussed and noted down. Um, Sometimes when people cook pasta, right, they don't have that. The pasta doesn't have that bite to it. Every pasta should have that bite. The pasta should have a bite to it. So what I would suggest is uh, add in the pasta into water, cold water. Put in 2-3 teaspoons of oil in there so that they don't stick to each other, and obviously season it with a little bit of salt. And one thing what I've noticed here is through personal experience, the salt, the water you cook the pasta in, right? That water should taste like seawater.
Mm-hmm.
Seawater is pretty salty, right? So it should taste like that. Only then that brings out this technique doesn't carry out only for pasta, even for rice. So when you cook rice, right, the water you cook the rice in, that particular water should taste like seawater when you season it with salt. Correct.
True.
So only then you get the perfect um, um, salt quantity there.
Like non-mushy pasta, you're saying, right? Something
Yeah,
that's not very sticky.
yeah, something like that's not very sticky. So that's one tip, and also you can add a little bit of oil, like probably 2-3 teaspoons of oil, to not make it sticky too much.
I think that's something when I do when I boil pasta. I of course don't make pasta from scratch, which I love to, and I want to make it someday.
Mm-hmm.
But when I buy pasta, spaghetti, whatever, I break it and I put it to boil. It boils. Um, one of the key things that I make sure is you never put pasta in cold water. You want to make sure it starts to boil and then you put pasta in it, and make sure you salt the water before you put pasta. You don't salt
Right.
after you cook pasta. You always salt before you put pasta in the water. Um, yeah, and then once it cooks, you want to make sure that it's 80% cook, or even
Yeah.
75 is okay, but I make sure it's 80. And then when you know it's just about the bite, you take it off, you run the water down, and after you run the pasta water down, you want to make sure that pasta is put again in cold water and you wash it off. So just to re-explain that, you boil pasta, you
Correct.
drain it out, you take the pasta and you put it in cold water. And the reason why you do that is because when it's 80% cooked, you want to make sure it's 80%. When you leave it be hot, it cooks more. And that's when things start to get mushy. So you put it in cold water, you wash it.
Correct.
And with that pasta, this is what I do. I usually, even though it sounds a little weird, I don't mix my pasta with the sauce. I make the sauce separately and I actually eat the pasta separately, like the white regular pasta. The reason is because I add seasoning to the pasta, which makes it taste good. So after I run it in the cold water, I drain it completely. I put it in a bowl, then I put olive oil. I don't know, olive oil and pasta, it's amazing. Olive oil, pepper, salt to the pasta. So it's just boiled pasta, olive oil, pepper, and salt, and you set it on the side. Sometimes if you want to add boiled green peas to it, you can. So it'll just be just boiled pasta, salt, pepper, olive oil, and green peas. Or if you don't want
Mm-hmm.
green peas, just ignore the green peas. But it'll be pasta with pepper and salt, and you make your sauce separately. When you're putting it on the dish, you put pasta, you roll pasta, you put, and then you take the sauce and you eat them. You mix it on the plate. I know usually you mix the pasta and the sauce and you mix it, but I somehow like eating it like this. It just looks like two different colors, two different textures, two
Yeah,
different
yeah.
tastes.
Nice.
I just have one last cooking issue
Mm-hmm.
that I have, which I personally face, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if anyone faces, but I'm guessing some of us would face. It's like you get so excited to cook. Yeah, you're hungry, so you're just so used to making your own food. You come home, or you're home, you are hungry, you make food. You really want to make this dish, and you go into the depth, and you make sure the garlic pods are cut and sliced perfectly. You do everything, you make the food, and after the food's ready, you don't feel like eating it. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, there's a saying where a chef doesn't like his own food or something like that.
Oh yeah,
When you make something, you kind of fill your stomach in the process of making the food.
true.
So, for example, take our mothers as well. I don't know whether it really fills their stomach or they're just being very orthodox. They first serve us and then they eat at
Eat,
the
yeah,
end.
yeah, it's true.
So I don't know, but
There's
yeah,
something behind
there's,
it, right? Yeah,
there's something behind it. There's some kind of a psychological effect or some kind of. But it happens to me when I cook. During the cooking process, I feel full in the process of making it itself, and I don't eat much. But
true.
eventually I built. But I'm just talking about the beginning phase.
Exactly. I think that's also one of the hacks. If I remember listening to a health podcast, if I'm not wrong,
Mhm.
people actually speak about making your own food, because if you make your own
Correct.
food, you're so involved in the process that you don't overeat, you don't overindulge, because you've already been through the process of making.
Exactly. Perfect.
So you don't eat like how you would eat if someone else serves you that food. Let's say if I make a nice serve for you guys,
Mhm.
you would eat more than you make and you serve for yourself. And that happens to me also when I make and I serve for myself. So when I was in the, just to maintain weight and to do stuff, when I used to eat like a glutton, which I still do, uh, if you cook your own food, I've heard you eat less, and it kind of worked for me. I cook my own food. It's so horrible that I don't eat it, and yeah, so I maintain weight.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
dude, I would like to make one more point here. The the issues what I faced or still facing is the perfect art of deep frying anything.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
the deep frying chicken, deep frying any vegetable, tempura, anything. You know, the perfect art of it. Um, I'm still learning. It's still a trial and error process. But yeah, um, one point or make a couple of points. Do not overcrowd the pan. What happens when you overcrowd the pan
Fine.
is it reduces the temperature of the oil. And also the initial temperature of the oil should be somewhere around 300 to 300 to about 370, three
Fahrenheit.
fifty degree Fahrenheit. Yeah, Fahrenheit. And you add in the okay. Let's take chicken, fried chicken for that matter. Okay, the pan is hot, the oil is hot at about 350, 370 degree Fahrenheit. You add in the chicken, you just cook the chicken. You just concentrate on cooking the chicken. Forget about the crispiness and stuff like that. You just concentrate on cooking the chicken for about probably 8 to 10 minutes. After that, remove the chicken, place it outside for about 10 minutes. Let the chicken cool down. And then crank up the heat of the oil again to about 400. Blast the temperature of the oil should be really hot,
Hmm.
very hot. And at that instance, add the cold chicken in there. So what happens is the internal part of the chicken is already cooked initially when you cooked it for about 8 to 10 minutes at a probably medium heat or something. Later on, when you keep it outside, cool it down and reintroduce the chicken into the hot burning oil, right? Then it
Oh, so you
starts to
fry it
cook.
twice?
Yeah, you fry it twice. Anything for that matter to make it extra crispy.
Crispy.
Even French fries for that matter, they fry it twice to make it crispy. The
Wait,
same
I
technique.
just, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
I just have a question. So when you fry it once,
Yep.
what percentage of cooking do you do? Do you do 50% cooking fried ones, 60? Like how much of the food?
I do about probably 70 to 80%.
Oh, 70 to 80. Okay. Okay.
70 to 80%. No, not completely cooked. Because when you're cooking chicken, right, you need to concentrate on maintaining the juiciness of the chicken as well.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Because if you cook the chicken too much, it becomes dry. There's nothing more worse than eating a dry chicken, It's really horrible. When you bite into a chicken, it should be crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside,
True.
If something, if, if some
Slurp.
if some juice.
I'm already thinking about eating that the recipe, right? The crispy
Yeah.
chicken. Now, what's the first recipe that we put out? I remember
Uh,
you making when I came home. I was literally thinking
uh,
about that chicken.
chicken tandoori.
Chicken tandoori.
Yeah,
I was literally
that's
thinking about you biting into it.
uh,
Uh,
yeah, that's the baked version of it. Yeah, so nothing like biting into a dry meat. Any dry meat is pathetic. It's horrible. You need some juiciness. It should maintain some life into
some
it.
love.
Yeah, some love.
TMO. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So once that is done, you crank up the heat to about 400, 420 degrees Celsius. The flames, the oil should be really hot, and then cook and then reintroduce the chicken back into the hot oil and then keep mixing it around, because if you keep there for too long, it may tend to burn. So keep mixing it around so that it cooks on all sides. And yeah, and just concentrate on it getting crispy on the outside. It'll automatically get crispy. So during the first time when you fry it, the chicken may be a little soggy outside, but after the second time, it becomes really crispy.
Really
So
crispy.
yeah, you need to double fry anything to make it really crispy. Even French fries, for that matter, they double fry it, and anything for that matter, people double fry it to make it even more crispier. Even restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like
That's
a
true. Yeah.
trick people
But
can
I think,
implement at home itself.
oh, sorry, Kevin. So when you cook,
Yeah,
I have questions because I want to do it. So when you cook
yeah.
the first time, right? Let's say you fry
Hmm.
chicken. How do you
Hmm.
rest the chicken? Do you keep it on a grill, rest it, or do you just keep it on a plate to rest it?
No, you just marinate the chicken. I'm okay.
No, no.
Let's
After
talk
you
about.
fry it, you take the chicken out. You
You
give.
can keep it anywhere, bro. It doesn't matter. You just keep it anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can keep it on a plate, keep it anywhere. That doesn't matter as long as the chicken kind of cools down comparatively. I'm not saying it should become real cold, room temperature as such like that. Just make sure the chicken cools down a bit, and then
Mhm.
after 10-15 minutes, reintroduce the chicken back into the hot oil, and then it becomes really crispy on the outside. For that, the flame should be really hot. And one more
Oh
point
yeah.
I would like to make here is, if the oil is kind of not too hot, right? What happens is the chicken starts to imbibe all the oil.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's
So
true.
chicken becomes oily.
Soggy
So what
chicken.
you need exactly now, there's nothing like, there's a difference between biting into a soggy chicken and a juicy chicken. You'll be biting into a soggy filled with bloody oil chicken, which is not right. So make sure the temperature of the oil is really hot before you add the chicken the second time. It should be really
Okay.
hot second time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Even the first time for that matter, it should be somewhere around 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's about 200, the chicken will start to imbibe the oil, which is not good.
Not
So
good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just want to deviate. So those are pretty much the 4 points that you wanted to discuss. I just want to deviate and ask um, a question.
yep.
It could also be for the ones who are listening to it. If you had a choice, okay, if you had a choice, you can eat whatever you want, but the whatever you want that you eat will be blended
Mhm.
and given to
In
you as a porridge. For example, you take fried
okay,
chicken.
okay, okay. Oh,
Fried
oh,
chicken will be
oh.
blended and given to you in like a porridge. But you
Mm,
can put whatever seasoning you want and eat it.
mm.
Versus you get decent food, but it's bland. And you could pick that and eat it. There's absolutely no seasoning in it, but it looks brilliant. But you eat it, there's no seasoning. And if you had to pick one, which one do you pick?
The first one, man, obviously. I
Blended,
live to eat.
but it's blended. So if you get fried tandoori chicken, it's blended. You can't see the chicken. It's like
So
porridge.
it's blended with water, is it?
Yeah. So if you want tandoori chicken and chicken biryani, you put tandoori chicken, you put the rice biryani, and you put the lid, put some water, and you blend it. And then you take a cup and you pour it, and then they give you a spoon. Versus
Okay, see,
you get whatever you want, but there's no seasoning.
I get it. Okay. It depends, okay. Like um an individual dish, I wouldn't mind it putting in a blender and having it. An individual dish, but a combination of dishes, like as you said, tandoori, curd, and biryani, that may taste little bad eventually, but individual dish I don't mind, you know, but it's still gonna taste horrible.
No, so
I would
basically it's like a meal. So in your plate, let's say there's rice, chicken, and vegetables. All of that goes in the blender. You can either blend them 3 different times and mix it and eat it, or you can blend them all together and eat it, or you can blend them thrice and keep it in 3 cups and eat it, whatever you prefer, but it'll be blended.
a blender. Okay, I don't know. It's a tough choice, but I'm sure it's gonna taste comparatively better to the second option that you gave.
Bland food,
Yeah, obviously it's gonna taste better.
but look amazing though.
I don't know. I would prefer answering that question like this. Okay, like I would rather have 2-3 spoons of blended amazingly I would rather have 2-3 spoons of blended prawn tempura than having even half a piece of that tasteless prawn.
Yeah, that's true. Do you like naan or bread? Like naan, butter kulcha, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Imagine that in a blender. Kulcha in a blender. Oh my God. Fuck. But yeah, I think even for me, it's choice number one. I can't do choice number two.
Correct. Because we live to eat. It should taste good at the end of the day. Because what's the point in bloody cooking and eating then?
Yeah, that's true.
If it
Now let's say it is a bland food, 5-star quality, but it's cooked by a top-class chef. Let's say your favorite chef, maybe
then he's no longer
Graham
top
Elliott.
top. Then he's no longer top chef.
No, he's asked not to put seasoning because he knows.
Okay. It doesn't matter who the fuck he is. Like, if it's bad, it's bad.
No, but think about it. See, if he's a top-class chef and if he
Hmm.
makes whatever he makes, even if it's steak, even though there's no seasoning, he'll cook it in such a perfect way that you may love the natural flavor in it. For example, he
Okay, I
might
get it.
mix fruits with it. He might mix stuff that's more earthy, like let's say mushroom or something. Mushroom with oil, no salt. It's get the earthy flavor. So he might make it look crazy, but no salt.
Okay. But taste is like
No taste, no salt.
it's a really tough question. No, it's a tough situation as well. Yeah, but I wouldn't mind eating it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind eating it if it's like, I don't know.
We just have
Yeah,
to buy.
what would you do?
I'll just buy different blenders, one for fish, one for chicken, one for red meat. But I'll take the blended version because I don't think I can eat bland food.
Yeah, that's that.
But I love fruits though. Like I like eating fruits as
I
it is.
like milkshakes, no?
No,
But it's
not
also
milkshake. Like as fruits. Like whole fruits.
ah,
I'm okay. Like the pineapple and stuff is fucking awesome without anything.
mm.
So those kind of stuff I'll eat, but they are not tempura. Like yeah, it's not happening. So I think that's pretty much on what we wanted to talk about. We want to thank you guys again for all those who are listening. These are the few food issues that we wanted to share because I know some of us have already started and tried to cook, and we are running into issues. Do not be disheartened. All of us have made horrible food. We get there to make better food. So just keep striving to make better food, and these are issues you can face and rectify. The whole idea is not to be a food connoisseur and not have to buy takeout food, but the whole idea is to just encourage people to cook, because if I could cook, I think anyone can cook. At least I know Kevin has got a passion for cooking, but for me, I started as a choice. I mean, started as no choice left to cook. I didn't really have a start or a passion, but it started from there, and then it led to a passion to make good food because you want to replicate what's home when you're away from home. That's the main idea of it. So things can get easier for those who are away from the country, and for those who are in the country in India. Please stay safe, do the best you can, and thank you for all that you did. Most importantly, eat healthy. Make sure it's tasty. Buy different blenders if it's fish, if it's meat, and if it's something else.